So you're going back and forth between Jersey and, because I saw you were in New Jersey the other day, right?
Yeah, my friend actually used to live in New Jersey and he was just moving out. And so because my family's in New Jersey, I rode up with him just to see my family.
Got it. So where would you rather be right now, Florida or New Jersey?
Florida for sure. I'm not cold. I wish my family was in Florida so I could be in Florida with the good weather and have my family.
But you're not hitting the beach or anything at this point. I know
No.
that's happening in Florida.
No, I'm not going to the beaches or anything.
um, uh, as a runner, I know what runners do when there's no competition. I know what long distance runners do. We just go out, we go out for a run, you know, and like, okay, we don't have a race, we're just gonna go for a run for a neighborhood. You don't just go out for a triple jump. So what are you doing in this time of no competition?
Yeah, I haven't been jumping at all actually, especially because we didn't even know there were any competitions. I think they released the Diamond League schedule today, and so that's kind of new. And I think my coach will try to adjust to the meets that may happen. I don't know if I'll even feel comfortable traveling to Europe, but mostly I've just been because some tracks are open, so I'm still able to do sprints like 150s or 90s, something shorter. I've been able to bound in grass if I need to. And just like plyos. So nothing with sand. I haven't been in the sand in a while. I actually kind of miss jumping. So nothing super specific to my event, just base training, staying in shape, steps, and things like that.
I imagine you have to be eager to return to competition. Last time we saw you compete was US Indoors, and that was quite the meet. You had the American record for what, like 2 hours? And then so I imagine you've got to be eager to get back out there when it's safe.
Yes, I'm definitely really excited. And it's kind of sad too because I knew that that was my best opener ever to start out. That was my opener at USA Indoors. So to start out with an American record and a personal best, that was amazing for me. And so kind of sad because I was looking to outdoor season to see, okay, how can I progress from this? But once everything got canceled, kind of faded out. So just hoping to get right back into that shape again once we start jumping.
You mentioned the Diamond League, and there is, I know traveling to Europe is a little iffy right now. Eugene in October, is that something that you've put on the calendar at all, or still too early to tell?
Yeah, I haven't talked to my coach about my schedule yet, but I would love to go to Eugene, especially because they just released the whole new stadium and they're working on that. So I would be really happy to just go there and check it out. And hopefully they have the women's triple jump. As of now, the women's triple jump was removed from the Diamond League, but you never know how things can change, especially due to this pandemic. So maybe triple jump, maybe long jump. We'll see.
Yeah, I got to ask you about that because that was a big deal last year when they pulled the triple jump in the 200. And I know a lot of the triple jumpers were outspoken about that. Has there been any progress or any more conversations about maybe changing that decision, or does it seem like a done deal?
I'm not really sure if there's been any progress. I know that when we talked to them last year before they had made the decision, the committee kind of said that this won't be permanent. It's supposed to be like, oh, we may remove some events this year and then we may add them back and remove different events next year. It seemed like it was kind of something they were testing out, not definite. So I'm not 100% sure, but I know that the Athletics Association, I think that's what it's called, the group that was formed after some events were removed are trying to attach a different events together so that if one is removed from the meet, other athletes will commit to not competing there. So rather than it just being like, oh, the 200's out, but I'm a 400 runner, so I'm still going to go to the meet. It would be like, oh, the 200's out of the meet. Even though I'm a 400 runner, I'm going to stand up for my 200-meter runner and not go to that meet also. So kind of becoming more one rather than it being like all for yourself.
So so in this case, you wouldn't long jump at a meet if the triple jump was pulled out of it?
Yeah, something like that. It's not like the criteria isn't explained out yet or listed out, but that would be like kind of how it would work.
Right. And in this time, and maybe it's going to be necessary beyond this time, a lot of field athletes especially are finding different ways to compete. So I don't know if you saw the pole vault competition and the garden pole vault competition, but would you ever do anything like that? Has there been talks about anything like that in the world of triple jumping?
There haven't been talks about it, but honestly, if someone finds a sandpit that's open and is willing to put something together, I would be willing to participate. Like I said, I haven't been practicing long jump or triple jump at all, so I would be a little bit rusty. But anything to get back into competition and jumping again, I would love to do.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think some people don't realize that unlike when you were in college competing in Athens for UGA, this is a job. So you count on appearance fees, count on prize money. It's got to be hard, and I know a lot of Americans can sympathize, but you're essentially out of work. How are you handling that?
Yeah, it's been going pretty well for me because the way I set up my LLC, I don't pay 100% of my money to myself out of the business account. And so I always kind of cushion myself in case I have a year that I'm injured or things like that. But I know that every track athlete's not in that position. And so many people do rely on prize money and may be in a terrible situation right now. But as for me, I'm doing pretty well and I kind of cushioned myself with savings. So it's been okay. I might feel it more next year because the way track works, we always get money the following year. And so next year, I may be feeling the burden of not competing much this year.
And of course, this year was supposed to be an Olympic year. Obviously, after missing the podium by 3 centimeters in 2016, you were a medal favorite in 2020. How did that news hit you when they said we're moving to 2021? I imagine you expected it, but it's still disappointing, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think I had a mixture of emotions. I was definitely a little bit disappointed. Like I said, I had opened up my season with a personal best and American record, so I knew I was in great shape. And so it was a little bit of disappointment. But for me, I think it's also been good because I just changed coaches. And so it's given me time to adjust to the new workouts and getting used to my coach and just things like that. So it definitely has been beneficial for me. And me being a younger athlete, I think with time, it's better for me. But some people were planning like on finishing their season out this year. And so they may have to push it back or maybe they won't come back. And I know some people, their contracts end and they may not get renewed. So it definitely is affecting athletes very differently.
I wanted to ask you about the coaching change because that's a fairly recent development. How has that been going and what was behind that decision?
Yeah, so I think that we have different seasons in life and you're supposed to be with certain people at certain times. And I felt like Petros and I had accomplished everything we could together. And so it was just time to find a new coach, find a new training program so I could progress even more because I had so much success with him. But I just felt like in this new area of my life where I was taking on the professional world rather than the collegiate world, it was time for a transition. And as a lot of people know, college coaches are focused on college athletes first, and their time goes to traveling to college meets and things like that. And so when you get a coach that is not with college athletes, you have the opportunity where you can spend more time on you. You can train more hours with them just because they're focused more on you rather than having to balance a team and also you.
And for the first time for you as an athlete, competing now as just an athlete, you're not in school anymore. That has to be a big weight off your shoulders, I imagine.
For sure. Even when I got my master's, that was still a whole juggling thing, and I wasn't traveling as much as I wanted to different meets in Europe because I didn't want to miss classes and things like that. So just to be able to graduate and not have to worry about schoolwork or anything anymore has been really great. And I'm glad I got it out of the way because I'm not sure if in the future I would have felt as positive about getting it done.
I imagine that you're training pretty much by yourself now, but when things get back to normal, what's the training group like down there in Florida?
Yeah, so when I'm in Florida, it's a pretty strong training group. So Giannis David is one of the jumpers at Florida, and I think, we went 1-2 at almost like every NCAA and SEC meet. So we know each other very well, and that's really good. We also have Keandre Bates and Marquise Dendy. Marquise Dendy is also a Bowerman Award winner. Keandre Bates, NCAA champion, and Daryl McQueen is an All-American. So it's a strong jumps group, definitely, that we have in Florida, and I just love the energy. They're really positive. They're all really close, and they welcomed me to the group really well. So when I'm in Florida, it's great. And then when I'm in California, there's Brittany Reese there. So I don't know how many world titles she has, like 8 world titles.
Yeah.
There's Chris Bernard, who's a 2016 Olympian. Will Clay's out there too. So it's a really strong training group, whether I'm in Florida or California. And they all push me, and I'm learning a lot. So I really appreciate that.
Are you splitting time between the two? Are you half in California, half in Florida?
Yeah, so my coach is actually based in California, but I didn't feel comfortable just moving to California all of a sudden because I'm from the East Coast. And so we worked it out so that I could balance out, like split my time in Florida and California.
I remember we talked, I don't remember when it was a couple months ago, and we talked about the depth of the men's triple jump and how that back and forth between Christian Taylor and Will Clay has been a really cool thing to watch over the years. It seems like the women's triple jump is getting there, or maybe has eclipsed it. What can you say about the depth of triple jumping and jumping in general on the women's side of the sport right now?
Yeah, I think it's so amazing, especially for America, just because triple jump has been a very weak event. As many people know, we've never won an Olympic medal. Our American record before Tori and I came up was kind of on the lower end compared to other countries. And so looking at the US versus other countries, we were always at the bottom. We always struggled against the world. So just being able to show the world and prove to the world that we don't only have one great American triple jumper, but we have two, and being able to showcase that to America, I think is really good because it attracts attention to our event. I don't think many people were interested in the women's triple jump before Tori and I came up and that rivalry kind of formed. And so I think it's been really important and great for our event because it has attracted a lot of attention, which was not there before.
And I have to imagine that the rivalry makes you a better athlete. How does it inspire you, or how does it motivate you when you're jumping against somebody like Tori, who with any jump either of you could set an American record?
Yeah, it just pushes me mostly. Sometimes it's easy to get content when you're always winning or you're always the best. And so knowing someone's right there on your edge or you're very close to beating someone else, it really pushes you, whether it's in practice or at the meet. You're just always thinking about like, oh, like I can use USA Indoors as motivation when I'm practicing or things like that, because I'm like, I had the American record, I was in the lead, and then I still got second. And so you know that going into USA's, it's not just like, oh, I'm going to go jump for fun. Like, it's like, this is going to be a battle. I'm going to have to fight for it. So it really makes me work harder for it. And I think the victory almost feels better when you have to work so hard for it.
I want to talk about indoors a little bit because, as you said, that US Indoors jump where you set the American record was your opener. What was behind your decision to sit out the season and debut at the US Champs?
Yeah, so that was actually because of Doha and the Olympics. And so Doha, my final, I think, was October 5th, which is very late compared to any other season. And I usually take 4 to 6 weeks off. And so I was already behind in training compared to other people. I don't know how many weeks other people take off, but I know I was behind. And so I didn't even feel comfortable opening up before that, especially with the coaching change. So it was a late year, changed coaches, and I didn't feel like throwing myself into the water. And then on top of that, it was an Olympic year. And so I didn't want to rush back to try and get back into competitions and then push myself to try and last until August for the Olympics. I would prefer to open up late and feel really strong when I get to the Olympics. And so it was really based off of Doha and then also knowing the Olympics were coming up.
And that could be a situation where next year, if everything gets compacted, so you may find yourself in the same situation where you want to maybe sit out a season or take an abbreviated season just to be prepared for Tokyo in 2021, because that could be a really long lead up.
Yeah, for sure. And World Indoors is going to be next year too. And so I would have to go to USA's, then qualify for World Indoors. And so we'll see. What my coach and I will talk about my season and what it'll look like and what would work best. But I would really love to go to World Indoors, so I hope I can still do that.
We had a really interesting conversation last week with Abdirahman, and he was talking about something I didn't even think about, and then I saw that you tweeted about the same topic: out of competition drug testing. And when you talk about out of competition drug testing, we are really out of competition. But that's still going on right now. You've had some experiences with it?
Yes, it is. And so I didn't even know that it was still going on. I thought it was suspended because of the pandemic. But I looked back at an email and it said it was mission critical is what they called it, mission critical testing that's going on. And in my head, mission critical is something like extreme or drastic, but I guess I'm mission critical because they came to my place. And I was mostly upset because my parents are both over 50. My mom's overweight. And so I think she's at a higher risk than other people. And I was also upset because I was only home in New Jersey for 1 week. And that 1 week I was home happens to be the one time they come. And so I felt like it would have been helpful if maybe in the whereabouts where I put where my location is, maybe they had a checkbox that said, oh, I will be with someone that's at higher risk, or I will be at home with people who are over 50, or something that lets them know that maybe this isn't the best time to come test, because it was only 1 week that I was home. And I've been in California, I've been in Georgia, I went to New Jersey, I've been in Florida, but the one time I'm with my parents is the one time they happen to come. And I don't know, I feel like it's kind of, I understand that they're trying to maintain integrity. I 100% understand that, but sometimes this is bigger than a sport. And so it was just a little bit, it kind of like annoyed me a little bit. So
yeah. With all the traveling you're doing between Jersey and California and Florida and Georgia, how are you staying safe? How are you making sure that you're healthy through all of this?
Yeah, so when I traveled from California to Georgia, it was at the very beginning of the pandemic, and I didn't want to get stuck. I thought maybe they would stop air travel. I didn't want to get stuck in California. And so I just flew over. I wore a mask and everything, which I know health officials said mask may not do much, but I just wore a mask over and made sure to wash my hands. When I come inside, I make sure to shower and take off clothes that I've been wearing while I was outside. I have hand sanitizer in the car so that when I get in the car, I'm making sure things are sanitized. But yeah, I think it's really the basics that they say. Don't touch your face. Just following all the guidelines that they've given us.
I think a lot of people, athletes and not athletes, are having a hard time staying positive through this. We're 6 weeks into this now. Well, how do you stay upbeat? How do you stay optimistic during these times?
Yeah, I think it's easy for me to stay positive as long as I'm with people. So some people during these social distancing times have been by themselves. And so I wouldn't really recommend being alone for this extended amount of time, because that's really the worst state you could probably be in for an extended amount of time. And so I do well with just remaining positive by being around other people. So I love being around other people, but I understand everyone can't do that. And I do know that I've had trouble with staying motivated, because the things that really motivate me are being the best jumper I can be, being the best at competitions, knowing that there's a big meet coming up. So like, oh, the Olympics are coming up this year, or World Championships are coming up this year. But it's been hard not knowing when a meet is, or when a competition is, or when the Olympics are. Like, it's like, what am I training? You almost go every day and you're like, what am I training for today? And so I have struggled a little bit with motivation during this time. But sometimes you just have to keep pushing through it. Like, you don't always have to be motivated. Sometimes you won't feel motivated and you just keep doing the workouts because you know it will help you in the long run. So I would just say those times that you're not motivated, just keep doing the workouts and it'll pay off in the end.
Speaking of that, you just did a series of videos for Atlanta Track Club's The Distance page. You can find them actually right now on thedistance.atlantatrackclub.org. They're on the homepage. It's a really in-depth series of videos, for plyo and drills for beginners and intermediates. And you design these workouts so anybody, no matter whether they're a champion triple jumper or just got off their couch, can do them.
Yeah. I was a little bit nervous about recording them because I'm not really someone that's great on video, and I've never really edited or recorded videos. So I was a little bit nervous about it, but I think all of it can be done at home, which is a great thing during this time, because a lot of people can't go to a track or can't go to a park or aren't willing to do that, don't want to do that. They want to stay at home. So a lot of them can just be done close to home or inside, and it's great to just keep moving.
Yeah, check those out at the distance.atlantatrackclub.org. There's this whole series there. It's awesome. I learned that I'm not flexible at all by trying to do some of them. I may have fallen a couple of times, whatever, it's okay. I want to ask you some general pandemic life questions. Any new hobbies you've picked up? Are you baking sourdough? What's the weirdest thing you found yourself doing in these times?
I haven't really picked up any new hobbies. I think I've just given more time to my hobbies. And so one I do is read, which a lot of people, if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I read 2 books every month. And I have a goal of reading 30 books this year, which I am off track of, but I believe that I can do it. And then I also practice Spanish every day. And so I have the Duolingo app, and I love languages. I love that people can speak different languages, and I've always wanted to be able to speak a different language. So I practice Duolingo every day, and I've actually increased my time I spent on there a lot during quarantine, because I wasn't spending that much time on Duolingo before.
When did you start speaking Spanish? When did you start working on that?
Well, I took Spanish in 8th grade all the way to when I graduated high school. And then I didn't really take it in college, but I was always still really interested in it. And so I just kept it up with Duolingo.
Yeah. And what's the best book you've read so far in 2020?
In 2020, Homegoing. It's about the slave trade. It's fiction, but it's about the slave trade in Ghana. And it goes through different generations. So it may start out with just some Africans living in Ghana. And then as the generations progress, it gets all the way to a Black person living in America in their life. So it was really good just seeing that. I was a little bit upset because I get attached to characters. And so I would learn about this character and then they move to the next generation. And I'm like, no, I want to hear more about this person. So it was definitely a lot of movement through characters, but I loved the book. It was great.
And I wouldn't say less cultured stuff, but what's on your Netflix on your Netflix queue right now?
So I want to watch Becoming. Last year I read Becoming by Michelle Obama. I want to watch Becoming really bad. I've watched On My Block, but this season I didn't really like that much. That's one of them. I don't watch TV much. All my friends know this. People recommend shows to me all the time, and I move through shows so slow. So I just finished Blacklist actually, and I really like that. And it took me like 2 years to finish that.
Yeah. Okay, and then final playlist question. What's on your Spotify, Apple Music playlist right now?
What did I add most recently? I don't know. I don't know if I've had anything that I've really added recently, but I do love Afro beats. Most of my friends know that I love Afro beats. I love rap. Um, I can't think of like any new ones that I've added, but those are my two genres that I listen to the most.
That's a selfish question for me because I ask everybody and then I just go add it to my playlist. So I can discover new music, so thank you. All right, I have a question from the chat that's kind of random, but I think you'll like it. So, all right, you know Justin Gaiman, who ran at UGA, works on staff at Atlanta Track Club, 400-meter hurdler. If you had to do the 400-meter hurdles and he had to do the triple jump, who would do better?
How old is Justin? Can I ask that?
I think he's, I don't want to say the wrong thing. He just had a baby. I think he's 31, 32, maybe?
Okay, I'm going to give it to him because the 400 hurdles is hard and triple jump is hard on the body. Like if you're older, triple jump will really hurt you, but I think he'll be okay. So he'll probably beat me because 400 hurdles is just, that'll take me out.
Have you done the 400 hurdles? Did you do it in high school? Never?
I ran the 400 in high school, but I'm not trying to go back to that life.
At all? No more running.
I'll stick to 200 and below.
You're on, so it's interesting to me because you're on Atlanta Track Club Elite, which is mostly runners. You're the only triple jumper, really right now our only field athlete on the team, but the team dynamic is kind of cool, and you got to travel around the world with some of the team members. What's it like being a part of the team, and what's it like being the only triple jumper on the team?
It's really great, especially getting another perspective because when you hang out with distance runners all the time, you realize that all they do is talk about distance running, and it also shows me how little I know about distance running because they'll talk about athletes or they talk about different workouts, and I'm like, I don't even know what they're talking about. So it shows like a different perspective, just being able to hang out with distance runners so much because my core group has always been like jumpers that I'm always hanging around. And then it's also great to just have a team because a lot of people, when you're a professional athlete, there's no team aspect anymore. It's individual. And so when we go to USAs or any meets that we go to together, it's nice to have a team aspect and coaches there. And we go out to dinner together and just different things that make it more like college again, rather than it being like, I traveled here alone and I'm going to compete alone and I'm going to go home alone.
If you could be good, if you could just tomorrow have the talent to be as good at another event as you are on the triple jump, what event would it be?
The 100 meters.
You just want to be over with quickly, right?
Yeah, and the 100 gets the most. I feel like everybody knows 100-meter runners, and I just feel like the 100 meters get it all. Like they have it all.
Yeah, that's true. And we've got the 100-meter field is stacked though right now, so that might be a tough.
It's a tough event.
Might be a tough one to fit into. We're taking questions for Keturah in the chat. If you've got any more, somebody just asked Lil Wayne versus Jay-Z.
I'm definitely a Jay-Z fan. I have some Lil Wayne music, but I need some quality in the stuff I listen to, and I feel like Lil Wayne doesn't have much quality in there. So I don't not like him, but I like some really deep stuff in my music, and so I have to go with Jay-Z.
All right. Well, one last question for you before I let you go, and I've asked this to everybody we've talked to. When competition comes back, when we're able to get back together and have track meets, have races, what does it look like, and what's the vibe?
I have no idea what it will look like because everyone's saying that this is our new normal, like being like this, and so I'm almost imagining stadiums being empty or like sections of like maybe you could sit over here and then a huge gap and then someone else can sit over here because social distancing. I don't know. I'm imagining either empty stadiums or very spaced out stadiums. And I'm imagining masks may be normal too. Not for us while we're competing, but just masks may be a normal thing that we see out in the world. So I don't know. It's hard to imagine what it will look like. Like we all want it to go back to the way it was before, but it also may not return to what it used to be. So
I mean, if we can't get the crowd on their feet doing this, can you jump as far? I mean, it's really hard.
Yeah, it will be hard. It'll be like practice almost at a meet, because if there's not people there, that's really what brings the energy and the adrenaline and everything together.
I said last question, but there's one in the chat that I want to ask you because it's from somebody who went to an SEC school. What was the biggest SEC rivalry for you coming out of UGA?
Biggest SEC rivalry? What? Like a school or a person?
Oh, both. How about both? They didn't specify, so we'll say both.
I mean, in the jumps, it has to be Florida, because Florida is known as Jumps U, and so from freshman year, I've always been going up against Florida jumpers, so it definitely has to be Florida. I'll say I only lost to her once, but I'll say it's my biggest one because I lost to her once. So my freshman year indoor, I lost to Sierra Brewer, and she goes to Florida, and so I have 7 NCAA triple jump titles except for my freshman indoor NCAA meet. So I'll have to give it to that one.
I think that's a fair answer. Well, thanks for joining us tonight. This video is going to be in its full on YouTube coming up probably tomorrow. And so you can see it on the distance at atlantatrackclub.org. And check out Keturah's jumps or plyos and drills videos. You got to see them.